most was the fire in the hearth that burned year-round. I would sit in front of those flames, a sheepskin rug on the cold slate floor, with pens in my hands, brushes, paper, my raging moods that would often flare, turned to paint and ink. Even then, I found expression through written word and paint far easier than making myself understood aloud. There was a current inside me. At times, it swept along straight and true, serene on the surface, but determinedly fast-flowing. At others, the winds of life would turn against the tide. Steep overfalls would whip up in seconds, and I would rage, tempestuous. And sometimes the water flowed to a deeper place. A place where I could still see the light streaking through from the surface, and yet I felt compelled to stay quiet in the dark. This is, my nature. Days and years added length to my limbs, strength to my muscles, and all the while, the salt song grew louder. At night, as the lighthouse beam rotated, roaming both land and sea, I began to wonder how far the light stretched. What was out there in the reaches of that dark? I started to climb the trees, higher every time, until the branches grew thin and supple, bending under my weight. Higher still, pushing the boundaries of my garden, my range, up into the air, swaying as if in the rig of a ship, until at last there was no canopy left to claim. From the branches at the top, I could see over the roof of the cottage, all the way to the sea. It wasn't long before I started to climb out of the attic room windows, onto the roof slates themselves for a better view. Once every corner of the cottage, inside and out, had been explored, I started to wander further, venturing past the hedges frothed with blackthorn blossom that bordered my home. Red kite, sky blue, gorse yellow. These were the primaries of my landscape. There were two paths to the sea. One ran along the borders of pastoral land, tamed and grazed by shaggy tack sheep, wisps of their wool flying on the barbs in the wire. The other had a more rogue nature, a stone wall-lined lane, thick with ferns and navelwort, lush dark green against grey, falling away to hawthorn, with its tiny red lanterns that would ripen and burn hope into the landscape all winter long. At the top of the lane, through the gate, the landscape opened out, gorse and bramble ready to snatch its skin. Wild ponies roamed, spirited and unafraid to give chase, while birds of prey wheeled overhead. The southwesterlies blew strong. The entire Irish Sea laid out in front of you, vast and shimmering, light, dark, stormy, still. From here you could descend further, until the path became either fox track or badger trail, snaking through bracken, becoming stone as you neared the edge of the cliff to scramble down to the sea. As a teenager, I would stand at the brow of the hill, eyes closed, feet rooted firmly, grounding. I would breathe in the land, old stone, and wild water. Breathe it in until my chest hurt, full to bursting. With a whoop, I would open my eyes, take off at a sprint, gaining momentum with every step as I careened towards the cliff top. It always felt as if, with enough courage, I could launch myself over the sill, the thin yet firm divide in matter, where land gave way to air over water, and wing my way to flight with the fulmars. Every time, the pull of the earth would stop me and keep me for its own. That path seemed to speak to the wildness that sometimes overtook me during those years. But when I first started exploring, I chose the simpler, safer route. That way took me over the stiles, past golden stubs where the hay had been cut and baled. Fields became a path, the path an orderly set of steps. A stone bridge crossed a stream, fresh and flowing towards the salty expanse. I came to know the coast here in all its many moods, but the constants were the long reach of St. David's Head, stretching west, a tidal race rushing around the point. On the horizon, the rocks and islets known as the Bishops and Clarks. North Bishop lying like a sleeping giant in the ocean. South Bishop with its lighthouse and accompanying keeper's cottage. Ramsay Island was closer, only a few miles away, laid out towards the southwest. On clear days, you could see all the way out to the Smalls Lighthouse, a little needle on the horizon. There was a gently washed riddle in the ridges of the sand, the day balmy, the water shining, cool, inviting. I tripped over the sands, my legs tired from this early odyssey towards the sea, stumbling steps that became a run to the tide line.